Welcome to Danja Digital. I am Dana, your chief storyteller, and in today's newsletter, I am going to be answering one of your questions, and the question is, how do you keep the scene in your brain all day? Now, if you watched the episode last week, we did the first part of this question, so make sure that you go back and take a look at it, which is what are some of the things that I do or recommend for preparing to write a scene. And now this goes into how do you hold it in your head or hold it in your mind between your writing sessions, and why would you even want to do that? So if you're interested in hearing what my response is this week, well then stick around until after the introduction. If you are not, make sure you do me a favor. Can you do that? Go ahead, subscribe to my channel, hit the little bell, and then go over to Danja Tales and subscribe to my newsletter. You can find the link in the description box by visiting me online at danjatales.com. And for all of you that are sticking around, we're about to get into this newsletter. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'll see you in a second. Welcome into Danja Digital, which is the digital newsletter for DanjaTales.com. I am Dana Pittman. I am a USA Today bestselling author, developmental editor. I am a story nerd, a romance writer, and I think I'm kind of adding to that list because that's just kind of how I roll. But here you are. We're here today for my newsletter. So in this episode, I will be talking about how do you keep a scene in your brain all day. But let's just start off with the normal, which is announcements. I haven't had any new announcements for new releases, but I did publish a new testimonial on the blog, so you can see it over there. But I did get something pretty cool in the mail this week. This baby. Now, this is not a review, nor is this a true announcement, but I'm absolutely loving writing on the free write, and if you're interested in seeing my thoughts about it, let me know in the comment section. But yeah, I decided to order it right before they closed out the pre-orders. I kept my eye on it for a while, and when I saw well, I actually was looking at the original free write, and then after a while they announced the Traveler, and so I did decide to go ahead and pre-order it, and I'm so glad that I did. So glad that I did. So if you would like to hear more, let me know in the comment section. And for now, we're gonna go ahead and get into this newsletter. But before I do that, don't forget that you can submit your questions online by going to the website, and again, I always keep that in the description box. So let's get into today's question. How do you keep the scene in your brain all day? She said that, or the submission said that, but the scene in your brain all day. I'm going to first start off by telling you a few things that I do before I arrive to the position of carrying it in my brain. The first thing that I usually do is I will review the scene before I go to bed. Because I am a plotter, usually I already have the plot points, which I've told you about in previous editions of the newsletter, and then I will look over those notes before I go to bed or the night before. And for me, that usually means before I close out for the evening. And I do take time to build the scene. So it's more than just the plot point, but it's usually a bullet points, or at least the plot movements within that scene. The second thing that I suggest that you do is visualize the scene. Many of us have a picture in our mind that we're transcribing when we are writing, and that's the way, the first part really of carrying it around is to see it. Not in words, but in your mind. See your characters. What room are they in? How are they moving around the room? And the final thing is to carry the scene with you throughout the day. And you can do that by putting it on an index card. You can put it on a piece of paper. You can put it in your device. And I believe I've mentioned this before, but I usually, well, not usually, all of my books have a note in my phone, and over the course of time of me thinking about the idea, thinking about the characters, having ideas for scenes, little snippets of dialogue that just pop in my head, I put them all in that same note, and that's where I will just copy and paste the notes from my outline into my phone so that I can kind of read them. Now, for the carrying part, I'm a walker and a runner, so I will usually think about it before I get going. And here's the deal. I don't give it much thought. I don't say, think about it, Dana, think about it. I do those few steps, and if there's any issues or hiccups or complications that I would like to think through, I kind of bring that to the front of my mind, and then I just go about my day. But here's the true catch of it. Having a way to capture what comes to you. I get dialogue, I get emotions, I get movements, I get conflict, I get clarity on as to why, and motivation, like why they are doing the particular things in the scene. And those are all things that I capture. So the bonus part in this question for me is, how do you capture it? Add it to that same note if you decide to do that. But what I do is I speak it out into my phone. You can do it in the memo, or whatever type of voice recording app you may have on your phone. If you have an iPhone, I will also include my favorite app for capturing this in the show notes, which allows me to capture it as well as it transcribes my recording. And then once I get back to my computer, I take those notes that I transcribed and I paste them into my outline, and then I go through the process of preparing for the writing session. That's it. It seems like it may seem like it's a lot, but it's not. In the end, you want to find what works for you. And I really think that if you spend time doing this, it will make it so that when you sit, you're burning to write. Like you can't wait to get what is running around in your head out and onto the page. And so that is what we have for today. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, as well as going to Danja Tales and subscribing to my newsletter. Do you carry your scenes in your head throughout the day? How do you capture them? And if you don't have an idea as to how to kind of get those preliminary information, go over to the past episode and view that, and maybe to start creating your own habit or your own practice for doing this. That's all that I have for you today. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, don't forget to leave them below in the comment section, and visit me over at my blog so that I can see your messages. I am so excited that this channel is growing, and if you're new, welcome. And listen, the next question up is a doozy. So know that I'm only giving it a 15 or 20 minute, really about 10 or 15 minute treatment. But if it's something that I need to break out into maybe a little mini series, let me know in the comments, or let me know in the comments on my blog. But here is the question. I struggle with story structure and writing short. Any advice for plotting short stories to make sure readers don't feel shortchanged? How do you make them a full story with only 80 to 100 pages? What are the key story arc and plot points that need to be addressed touched on or hit? Y'all, I'm going to go in, and it won't be in this episode, but in next week's edition of Danja Digital. So thank you for joining me. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all hopefully sooner than later. Take care. Goodbye.